Okay, I saw that. And I knew that
Mayor, where's the mayor? Mayor, you got stuff. No, we're a team.
I don't like it.
But Mayor, we're a team. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
It is a great day to be in City Hall. First, I want to welcome everyone here today. I want to thank the mayor for allowing us to use this wonderful room. Our chambers are a little smaller, so we thought it was more appropriate and more press-friendly to do this down here. But on a serious note, thank everybody. I want to thank everyone here, all my colleagues, all of the participants in what we believe to be an extremely significant process and program, and ultimately will be real good for the citizens of the city of Philadelphia. I'll give a little background real brief, and then we're going to get to the mayor. The mayor and I stood on the stage of the Academy of Music not too long ago, and we gave our inaugural speeches. And we said at that time this was going to be an upbeat partnership, working together, aggressive, progressive, and all the good things and all those terms that people like to throw around. And the simple reality is that we've come out of the chute with some pretty good things. As you read last week, the mayor has been pushing, and we got the report on the 60 million. I hope I'm not talking about your stuff, Mayor. All right. The quote-unquote pre-K program, we're going to figure out a way to get that done. That's a very significant issue. The mayor and I, we did Cincinnati community schools. He hired Otis Hackett to work on our community schools model. We're keeping our promise. In today's world of politics, that's not necessarily something that always happens. During the course of my speech, I alluded to what we believe to be a very significant jobs-related program. So we've been working with the administration and our good friends from the Energy Authority on putting something together that we think will be quite significant, something that will be exciting. We kind of touch all bases, in terms of saving money, but creating opportunities, doing good things for these facilities throughout the city, and creating job opportunities. So I emphasize the job opportunities because I think, frankly speaking, at the end of the day, that's probably the most significant aspect of what we're attempting to do. So I want to first of all thank my friends from the Philadelphia Energy Authority, an entity that was created some years ago by a council ordinance, and actually came as a result, and I want to say that we actually didn't need it because our good friends from PICO are here. We actually were concerned about the deregulation as it related to PICO, and we thought PICO was sending the rates through the roof, and they didn't do that. They didn't do that. But the foresight related to creating the Energy Authority, essentially that the Energy Authority was going to be an entity that will allow us to do a lot of great things in terms of utilizing opportunities such as water to create energy, all the other things that we believe that they can do. So the first thing out of the hopper on a significant scale is what we're here today to talk about. And we're essentially talking about a project that we will create, and I have to emphasize, up to 10,000 jobs over a 10-year period, because some of my friends and colleagues were talking about the concern that we would announce 10,000 jobs and it would get announced that way, and we'd immediately have 5,000 people knocking on our doors, both here and at home. So this is a process. I just want to emphasize that. This is a process, and it will take some time. but we believe in that number, and we believe in the opportunities that are going to be presented as a result of this. So what I'd like to do is introduce our good friend, my good friend, our team member, my partner in, we can't say crime, because we're politicians, so we can't say that. We got to come up with a better term.
I think I have.
You got one? All right. Mayor, City of Philadelphia, Jim Kenney.
Thank you. I just want to be the point guard for the power forward here, so that's what we're doing. Point guard, power forward, a team. I want to thank Council President for inviting me to his first major policy proposal in this new administration. We are truly re-entering a new era of mayoral and city council cooperation. Today, as the Council President announces his proposal, I am happy to reaffirm my commitment to managing energy efficiency in city buildings. Investments in energy efficiency reduce emissions, improve city facilities, and save taxpayers money. As was mentioned previously, projects like the Quadplex retrofit serve as a model for future city investments. To build upon that success, this year, the Office of Sustainability will be upgrading Greenworks, the city's first comprehensive sustainability plan. The updated Greenworks plan will provide additional details on energy efficiency investments and how they help the city address climate mitigation and adaptation. In addition to retrofitting municipal buildings, we will also continue to support and promote energy efficiency in the private sector. This year, we will expand the city's successful energy benchmarking program beyond large commercial buildings to the large multifamily sector, adding over 800 new buildings. These larger buildings have the largest climate emissions in the city, so working with them to raise awareness and promote action can help not only save energy, but fight climate change. The Council President has also highlighted another important factor here today: infrastructure investments in our high-need neighborhood parks, recreation centers, and libraries that are long overdue. The City of Philadelphia has dramatically underinvested in these city buildings. Among our country's big cities, Philadelphia ranks at the bottom of spending on parks and recreation at just $12 per citizen. This is a tragic mistake given that properly funding these community centers can have an incredibly cost-effective impact on public safety, our citizens' education, and, as the Council President talked about, job creation. When our kids have a safe place to go after school, they don't end up on the streets and getting into trouble. And not only do they not get in trouble, but they learn something that keeps their interest in school or helps prepare them for a job. And not only do they learn something, but someone gets paid to teach it to them. Job creation. We know these investments can have a powerful impact because they're already happening in some parts of the city, thanks to the generosity of neighborhood groups and philanthropy. But we just can't rely on those generous groups. If we are going to prove to our citizens that we really believe every neighborhood matters, then these are the investments we must make. I'd like to thank the Council President and all the members of Council and all the members of the private sector and quasi-public sector. Craig, where? I'd like to thank all of us who are here today and look forward to working with them to invest in programs that will improve the lives of Philadelphians in every neighborhood. And let me just say that having been a member of City Council for almost 24 years, and knowing all these folks, both the folks that have served in council over the years and the newcomers who I knew before they were newcomers to council, I am excited and really thrilled about working with them and working together. I think that the citizens of the city, the business community, the labor community all need to understand that this team is a team. And that we're not have competing interests. We don't have pride in authorship. We work together. We take the best ideas and make them work. And I'm really happy to be here today. I want to turn it back over to the Council President.
Thank you so much, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor. Before I turn it over to Chris Lewis, the president of the chairman of the Energy Authority, I'd like to ask Councilman Heenan, where are you, sir? Right behind me. Councilman Heenan, who is the chair of the Public Property Committee and City Council, an entity that will be playing a significant role. He will be coordinating the council activities as it relates to our participation in it. Councilman Heenan.
Thank you. Thank you, Council President. I want to start off by thanking the Mayor, Council President Clarke, all the members of Council, and the Energy Authority, of course, and our private sector partners that are going to make this huge policy initiative a reality. And the true benefits are going to be the citizens of Philadelphia. We have an initiative here where energy costs are ranging from $80 million to $100 million a year when you include the school district. Right? We have an opportunity to deal with real people, put these savings back into real communities, put these savings back into small businesses so businesses can grow. So this is a program, this is an initiative about the Mrs. Jones in the corner of Soul Street who has to worry about whether their energy costs, pay your utility bill or buy some groceries. All right, so here we have an opportunity to invest back into our residents, invest into our communities, invest into small businesses while putting the resources and the savings that we have as a result of this initiative back into our core services that the government has in place, and our mayor is going to lead us, and this city council is going to make sure, all right, that we have all the public hearings that the stakeholders that can come and participate. So it is my pleasure, and being excited as the chair of public property, to be a part of such initiative and doing it collaboratively with every member of city council, along with the mayor and the energy authority. So look forward to the next couple of years, creating jobs and putting money back into citizens of Philadelphia who are going to be the beneficiaries. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. So this is some exciting stuff. Early on, and I'm going to let Chris Lewis give you a brief overview in a second, but early on in the process, we didn't know what we'd come up with. But I got to tell you, these folks are Energy Authority operating on a shoestring budget, and I mean a short shoe, right? Like a real short shoe. And we're going to address that shortly. We're going to make sure that the appropriate resources are in place to do this wonderful work. They put together, working with members of the various staff, what I believe to be some very exciting stuff and some information and an activity that will happen. I'm extremely optimistic, fully well committed to doing whatever we have to do to meet these wonderful goals. So at this point, I'd like to turn this over to Chris Lewis so he can give you a brief overview, and then I know we have some other members who will give brief remarks, and then we'll run through the presentation, and then we'll answer your question. Sir?
Thank you, Council President. First, I want to thank Council President Clarke for his vision and leadership. I want to thank the mayor for coming here today to lend his presence and support to this exciting initiative. This initiative is being spearheaded by the Philadelphia Energy Authority, but we are not doing this by ourselves. We have consulted with more than 80 stakeholders. We have solicited their input and their assistance, and many of them are with us today. I want to recognize them. Thank you, Jerry Jordan from the PFT. Thank you to our super stakeholders, PECO and PGW. Craig Adams is here from PECO, Craig White from PGW. They have been leaders in promoting energy efficiency in this city, and we want to recognize and thank them for their help and the assistance they gave us in preparing this campaign and shaping this campaign. We also have with us today Kelvin Jeremiah from the Philadelphia Housing Authority. PHA is about, am I allowed to say this? We'll be embarking on a significant energy efficiency initiative, and we are happy to count among our supporters the Philadelphia Housing Authority. Last but not least, I want to thank our board members of the Philadelphia Energy Authority, and I want to identify them, Mitchell Swan, Ken Ogawa, and Barbara Adams, and last but not least, Emily Shapira, who really is the brains behind this entire program, and it was her energy over the last few months that really brought it together, along with our executive director, Jill Kowalski. So thank you. So the council president said I had to be brief, and I will be brief. So let me go through the slides and outline this campaign for you. What is our vision? Our vision is simple. It is to build the clean energy economy in the city of Philadelphia. It's to drive $1 billion in public and private investment over a 10-year period of time to create up to 10,000 jobs, to retrofit approximately 25,000 homes, and to reach 2,500 small businesses. The energy campaign is going to focus on 4 segments. First, municipal buildings. The mayor mentioned the success of the Quadplex project. For those of you who do not know about that project, it was a $12 million project to implement energy conservation measures in 4 city buildings, including City Hall, the Municipal Services Building, the Criminal Justice Center, and One Parkway. That $12 million investment is already producing savings of $1.4 million per year. That's $400,000 more than the cost of the annual cost to service the debt that financed it. We want to take that model, that success, and roll it out to the remaining municipal buildings and to our schools. The school district pays over $45 million a year for energy costs. It's done a lot to reduce those costs, but we can do more by using that successful ESCO model. We also want to reach low-income residences. And here we'll be working with our super stakeholders, PICO and PGW. We have intentionally kept our eligibility requirements high and place-based so that a significant portion of city residents can participate. Let me describe real quickly what we see as the issue. In Philadelphia, some estimates state that up to 40% of Philadelphia's homeowners are generational homeowners. They are individuals who have inherited properties but may lack the resources now, even though they don't have a mortgage, to pay the utility costs and to pay the upkeep on them. What we hope to do is aggregate energy efficiency projects for this residential sector so we can make use of the benefits of economies of scale, and so that we can make it attractive, having brought the ESCOs to the table, to finance and commit to energy retrofit projects for that sector. Finally, we want to address small businesses. And by small businesses, what I mean mainly are corner stores and restaurants and other businesses that typically are involved in the food industry and typically have equipment that, to be frank, are energy hogs. And what we want to do is reach out to them and find ways to finance new equipment for them so that we can reduce their energy bills and we can use the savings to finance the upgrades. So we have 3 challenges going forward. One is to bring stakeholders together to solve these challenges. And we have many of them here today, and I do want to recognize some of them who are here today that I did not recognize previously. I see Liz Robinson from the ECA. We've been working for the Consortium for Building Energy Innovation. We've been working with Penn Environment and Penn Future, my law firm, Blank Rome, and Community Legal Services. We've also had the support of the Greater Philadelphia Chamber of Commerce. We want to thank you for being here today with us. And it is due to their involvement and their commitment that we can make this campaign work. Finally, I want to speak to the overall savings. We expect this program to generate $200 million in savings that will go back into our local economy. So we're excited about this. We're happy you're here with us today, and we look forward to working with all of you to make the Philadelphia Energy Campaign a reality for the city of Philadelphia. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Craig, so much. Some exciting stuff, if I say so myself. Any questions? Thank you very much. No, I'm just kidding. No, folks. Yes, sir. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Now it's time for me to call for the experts.
All right.
Here we go.
Hi, Emily Shapiro from the Energy Authority. With city buildings and with school district buildings, this is a model that we've already had some success with. So with the city buildings previously with the Quadplex, this project was financed through a city bond and was implemented with the partnership of an ESCO, an energy services company. Those are folks that scope out the projects, put together a proposal that meets all of the financing requirements, but also meets the payback requirements. And then they actually are responsible for implementing with a set of subcontractors. So the city sets minority women business participation requirements and all those other requirements, and then the ESCO is the one that implements. Does that make sense? That's a great question. We intend to have a 6-month planning period post this launch, just to really figure out what comes next and the right steps to get everything scoped and moving forward. And then really focusing on the residential and small business piece as well to understand how we can adapt this model to meet the needs of those communities.
Yes.
So does that mean that a bond will be floated for this project as well?
Not necessarily. There are 3 different tracks in terms of implementing a program as it relates to the financing aspect. We can do a bond like we did with the Quadplex. There are currently companies that actually invest into these type of activities where essentially we dedicate the savings from the utility costs to repay the money to the entity that invested the money, or there's a particular leveraging. I was just talking to my colleague here, Councilman Johnson, and we were talking about the fact that we, council, allocated additional revenue in the budget to support Liz Robinson and the ECA project, where they're essentially retrofitting households throughout the city of Philadelphia. With this investment, now we'll be able to leverage those dollars and go much further. This is not rocket science, and I can't emphasize enough how good people have already done in terms of implementing programs. PGW, with the CRP. Craig, what's your thing called? Smart Ideas. Yeah, Smart Ideas. PICO, Energy Efficient. The Philadelphia Housing Authority. These people have done great work. And what we're talking about is accelerating and expanding on that with private and public investment. So we're not inventing the wheel. What we're doing is putting 3 more wheels on so we can roll towards the end of this process a little faster.
So does that mean that plan with more specifics will come out of that 6-month plan?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we wanted to get this started. Council, as some people have said, we're a little pushy. So we roll developments out, we roll projects and ideas out, and we have now a mayor who is prepared to work with us, and as a team, we will move and get this thing rolling. You see here today, the PFT, the school district union, who represents the workforce. They're committed to being a part of this process. You see the utility companies, you see the housing authority. These are the partners that will pull together the plan and will ultimately make sure that this gets implemented. So I'm very excited. It's rare that you see this cadre of individuals here together, laser focus on one particular process. So it's going to get rolling pretty soon. Yes. In the public sector? You speak. I'm sorry. Speak up more. Yeah, pretty much every day of our lives. But the simple reality is that it has been done in the public sector, not only here in the city of Philadelphia, but in other municipalities. It worked. I think did we pay the bond off? We're paying the bond off now. We're moving forward on creating and saving money. Let's expand it. Let's go full force. This issue with the housing and the commercial properties is something that some people have some reservations about. But the simple reality is if ECA can take the 1200 block of Seltzer Street and retrofit every property on that block at a relatively inexpensive cost, there's no way that we won't be able to do something very similar, understanding the savings associated with those individuals. And one other thing, particularly around the residential, we in the city of Philadelphia, and Mr. Jeremiah will have an appreciation for this, we're paying upwards between $350,000 in some cases $400,000 to build a new unit of affordable housing, right? It's a lot of money. But at some point, we have to pay attention to the existing housing stock that is not energy efficient, that if we don't put some sort of investment in those properties to stabilize it, they will eventually become vacant properties because people simply can't maintain that. So very shortly, again, we're always rolling something out. You're going to hear about a housing preservation strategy that will be able to utilize this type of model. So if we put money in, we stabilize that unit, not only just structurally, but as it relates to energy opportunities and retrofit, that property will now be stabilized for another 50 years, without a doubt. And it is currently in affordable housing with no mortgage, and that homeowner now has equity in that housing. So I'm very optimistic. We talked in a little bit in detail about some of the commercial aspects of this. The application is laid out before us. It's just a simple matter of us saying we're willing and ready to do this. Yes? Yeah, I'm gonna let, because if I give you an answer, it's gonna be a politician's answer, so I'm gonna, you know how we do, right?
We do have that. I'll give you my card. I can share the details with you. There are jobs created in sort of two portions of this, in the implementation phase as well as in the savings phase. When people have more money in their pockets, they can spend it on other things in the broader economy. So that's the the savings side, excuse me. On the implementation side, there will be direct and indirect. The direct jobs are jobs that are created like construction, professional trades, energy auditing jobs, created as you implement the energy conservation measures. And then indirect is obviously jobs that will be created further down the supply chain. We've used the methodology that is sort of industry-wide accepted by the American Council for Energy Efficient Economy. So we have a fact sheet for you if you want to take that with you that sort of breaks down what that methodology looks like, and I can follow up if you need more detail. Sure. As with any construction project, these will be typical construction and professional trades. So, all of those things that are included in that. So those are the typical ones. There'll also be energy auditing and some other jobs along the way. It totally depends on the way each sector is implemented. They can go across all of the things that you just mentioned, and we expect existing businesses to increase and for new businesses to spread out.
Yes.
I know that the idea is that there will be a lot of savings in the future. Do you have any idea what the upfront cost of this project will be?
It depends on the scope of the project. So what we'll do over this 6-month planning process, we'll scope out the level of work that's required, and then there will be requests for proposals. The various investment firms either will decide that they want to invest all of their money and have these savings dedicated to repayment for their debt, or the city might decide that we want to borrow money, or there may be some sort of a combination of the two. The bottom line is we need to get started now, because the sense of urgency as it relates to creating jobs, the sense of urgency as it relates to people being able to save energy, the sense of urgency as it relates to your tax dollars, as it relates to the city's municipally owned buildings and the school district owned buildings. We're literally watching dollars fly out the window every day because of the inefficiencies associated with those facilities. So it's time to get this rolling, and we're going to get it done. Yes. Want this one?
Sure.
Yeah. You notice I give up the difficult ones.
This is also something we can follow up about in more detail if you want, but the short answer to this is there are no programs that do this at scale. And so the existing ESCO model works really well for city buildings and for school districts. That's been done all over the country. And where we need to adapt that model is in low-income residential, because as you're saying, there's a lot of private resources for this on a really smaller scale. And very few of those are reaching the sort of lowest income folks. So that's what we'll be working on in those first 6 months, is really adapting that program, in particular for the residential and small business sectors. I think for right now, the Energy Authority budget that we're working on now covers the first 6 months of that planning process, and then we'll know more once we get to the details.
Yes, sir. You speak up a little bit. On site. Chris Gore is saying yes. He's telling me yes. The answer is yes. Yes, sir. No. I mean, the reality is that there are a number of stakeholders that you see in this room, and there are a number of people that have a lot of great ideas. We don't think that we, the government, should be the only one that comes up with a scenario and a strategy to implement this program, which is why this 6-month period will give us a platform that will move forward. We have people here who have actually already started some of this work as it relates to residential and commercial customers, and we think that before we give some of the very specific answers, it makes more sense to put the package together, put it out, request for proposals, and based on what has happened, not only here, but in the past and around the country, we'll get significant levels of response. I don't think that anybody has ever had this opportunity in this scale in the country. I mean, this is big stuff, and it's going to make somebody a lot of money. Yes? Never talk about the upcoming budget until it gets here. I've always learned. But as I said earlier, we've actually already put money in the budget, because we're in the fiscal year, which will not be done until the end of June, to support the existing programs that are being done by the energy coordinating agencies, and those are at this point used for residential. With respects to when we go out for financing, if we, the city, in fact, finances some bonds to support or take in totality some or all of these projects will be discussed over the next 6 months. But the bottom line is, we did the quadplex. It worked. We're not setting a precedent. We're just setting a precedent in terms of the scope and the size of what we're talking and the aggressive nature. And we signed on, as I said earlier, when the mayor and the members of council stood on that stage, we committed fully that we were going to move this city forward in a way that people have not seen in a long, long time. That's it. I'm sorry, sir.
Recognizing that right at the beginning, this is the main answer, I still have to ask is, what you're intending for the small commercial sector, similar to the Amazing Rural PCA does,
right,
funded by an external source, or you envision capturing the savings and having that fund the upgrades? Two very different approaches to the public.
Right. What I would like to tell you today is that the devil is in the details, and we're currently working with the devil to get the details of some of those programs. I mean, seriously, folks, in government, I mean, people expect us to, one, recognize the challenges and the need, and then we're supposed to come up with a solution. And if we don't do it, it won't happen. I mean, and when I say government, I mean government working with the private sector. We actually have members of council who have great ideas that come from the private sector. We have people who work and service members of the private sector. These stakeholders, a lot of them are from the private sector. So I'm just like so optimistic this is going to happen. I mean, I don't want to come off sounding like Donald Trump and not give you full answers, but you know what I mean? But he does kind of make people think, oh man, he knows what he's talking about. we kind of like, I think these folks up here know what they're talking about, and knowing what they're going to do. So this is going to be good. Trust me. Folks, thank you all so much. It's going to be good stuff. Members